Need help changing your life with fibromyalgia? This is Lives Changed with your host, Deborah Lundquist. Through knowledge and prayer, Deb has learned to live with this difficult and often misdiagnosed disease. Get spiritual and good practical advice for achieving good health and acceptance while living with fibromyalgia. So now, please welcome the host of Lives Changed, Deborah Lundquist.
Welcome to Lives Changed. I'm Deb Lundquist, your host. I would like to tell you a little bit about myself. In 1999, I had a horrible accident in which I was told I should have died, but God had other plans. I acquired reflex sympathetic dystrophy, or as it's now known, complex regional pain syndrome, which is the worst pain known to man. And when the doctors put that to sleep, we discovered I also have fibromyalgia as well as several other chronic pain diseases and autoimmune diseases. I do need to say I am not a doctor or in the medical field in any way. I am a patient just like you. I will not diagnose, suggest you start or stop any medications. I do like audience participation even though I can't see you. So grab a pen and paper and write things down as you see fit. If you have questions, write those down too, and then you can email them to me at liveschangedradio@gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook on the support group Your, Y-O-U-R, fibromyalgia, and you can message me on there with questions, and I will answer those. Or if you have questions that you would like to put before the members of the support group, we can do that as well. I also have a web page called deblundquist.com, and you can email me questions on that as well. I also have articles for patients, caregivers, doubters, and even disbelievers on my website. I also have articles for caregivers and family members. There's a quiz about fibromyalgia on there, the story of my life and how I got the disease, access to the radio shows and what each show is about, access to all the natural nutritional products that I use and sell, as well as other products that I'm creating along the way. This is a really good place to send people who want to know about fibromyalgia. You can also call me personally at 815-214-9443. Again, that's 815-214-9443. That's my Google phone. It does ring into my personal phone. Just leave me a message if I don't answer, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. I try to answer them, but sometimes I'm on the phone with someone else, and sometimes I might be asleep, depending on where you're calling from and what time of day it is. But do leave me a message, please. The first thing I like to do every show is repeat affirmations out loud. Now, that's not just me saying them out loud. This is also something that you need to say out loud every day, the same as I do. Now, I didn't think this was important until a woman who was living with us took me in and had me stand in front of the mirror and look at myself and had me repeat these out loud. I wouldn't look at myself in the face because I always only would look at myself in pixels. I would never look at my face full on. I had a real problem with that. But she would stand there and she would force my face to look straight ahead and force me to look myself in the eyes. I had a very poor ego. And she would make me say affirmations to myself, and she would make me look myself in the eye. That is why I know these affirmations are so important, because they became very important to me because of her. So, here we go. I am not alone, and we are not alone. They say, there are 2 to 5% of the adult population in the United States with fibromyalgia. Now, that would mean up to 10 million people have fibromyalgia. But that does not include the growing number of men. That does not include the misdiagnosed, the underdiagnosed. That doesn't include children or teenagers. So I think it's even more than that. Worldwide, it's up to at least 20 million. I am beautiful or handsome, as the case may be. And yes, this is no longer a woman's disease. I am loved, and you're loved more than you ever realized. I am needed, and you are needed a lot more than you ever thought. And if you don't believe that, then you need to join your fibromyalgia. We will show you just how needed you are. I still have a purpose. You're just sick. That doesn't mean that the purpose you had before is gone, but it does mean that you now have an even more important purpose. I am important, and you are important, even more important than you were before you got sick. Please join your fibromyalgia, and we will show you just how important you are. Then I want you to look in the mirror in your beautiful eyes, and I want you to say to yourself, I love you. And if you've forgotten how, I want you to go to deblundquist.com, and I have an article there that might help you learn how to love yourself again. I am a survivor. And if you're listening to this, then you are. You're a survivor. You are a warrior. I am still me, and you are still the same person you were before you got sick. You just got sick. I am unique. There is no one else like me anywhere in the world. That makes me not only special, that makes me powerful. And if identical twins aren't really identical, then there isn't anybody else like you in the world. So now we're going to say them over again, and you say them out loud with me as I say them out loud. I am not alone. I am beautiful or handsome. I am loved. I am needed. I still have a purpose. I am important. I love you. I am a survivor. I am still me. I am unique. There is no one else like me anywhere in the world. That makes me not only special, that makes me powerful. And I want to tell you this, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. That is a very special gift given to you. Don't waste it. Last week, I talked on the support group with text and video, and I answered some private messages, and I talked on the phone. I worked on my webpage and writing on the fibromyalgia from a patient's perspective, as well as continuing to work with the publishers on the RSD-CRPS book. I also continued with the chiropractor and the massage therapist. Now, I told you that the chiropractor surprised me because he doesn't do the old-fashioned crack your neck and pop your spine way of doing things. He doesn't even put his hands on your body to manipulate your spine. what he does is he uses an activator. That's what it's called. It's an activator. Now, he does touch you to see where things are, but the practice that he uses is called an Atlas orthogonal chiropractic. And what it is he touches your spine and he measures your legs to see if they're even. And one day mine were a half inch different, and another day they were 3/4 of the way different, and 3/4 of an inch. And then now they're level. Things are evening out. Now, the first day I went in there, my jaw was tilted in one direction and my hips were tilted in another direction by a long way. It's no wonder my insides were so screwed up. Anyway, things are much better now. I've been going to him for 2 weeks. But what he does, I can't even feel it. He just uses this activator, and then he touches my spine. He has me move my head in different directions, and he has me put my arms in different directions, and then he lifts my feet up at my knees and puts them down, and then he sees where my feet rest. And then he uses this activator where he feels that I need an adjustment. And it doesn't hurt. And when I stand up, I feel like a new person. And I don't bruise from it. I don't hear or feel any popping or cracking or anything. Now, here is the thing. There is approximately 300 nationwide offices that use this advanced system of care. And they are the only office south of Chicagoland offering this. And they're called the Skinner Health Improvement Center, and they're in Gibson City, Illinois. Again, I'll tell you, it's Atlas Orthogonal, ORTHOGONAL chiropractic. That is what it's called. And so now these first 2 weeks, I've got 2 more weeks of going 2 days a week or 3 days a week. And then I'll go 2 days a week, and we'll keep doing that until my insurance changes. Anyway, the soreness is gone, and the spasm is gone that I had since January. And the massage therapist says he can already tell that the muscles in my back are relaxing amazingly just from this type of adjustment. It is an amazing kind of adjustment. I was very nervous about going to the chiropractor, I have to tell you. Anyway, the fibromyalgia and the RSD are not acting up at all. We had a blizzard over the weekend. Did someone say it was spring? Our county supposedly was the only county with a winter storm warning, although there had to be more that should have been. And it is late March, right? Now, tomorrow, we're supposed to have 2 inches of rain. I don't know. I think we need to build an ark. My new office chair is here. It's so comfortable, I don't even want to get in it. So last week, we spoke about which came first, the addict or the dealer. We talked about sugar, drug or poison, and nutrition, and your teeth and gums. I would like to say a word to those who are still suffering, and this weather is just crazy. So I know that there are those of you out there who are really, your bodies are just going nuts. Epsom salts have to be your best friends right now. That's all I can say. Even if you don't have a bathtub, put them in whatever you can and soak your feet in them, because your feet have the largest pores of your body, and they will absorb that magnesium in the Epsom salts, and that will help with the spasms and cramps in your legs and your back. Now, I know I've been telling everybody we were going to have a special guest today, and I have got to apologize to you. Dr. Lipton woke up this morning sick as a dog, and she apologizes to you. We are going to reschedule her, but you know she has fibromyalgia too. And when you're sick and you have fibromyalgia, you know how bad it can be. So I quickly put a show together, and we're going to go through it together for the first time. So be patient with me, and let's see how it goes, okay? First of all, let me tell you about my insurance situation. Like I told you, I will only be doing these chiropractic treatments until the end of April, because my husband turned 65 in May. I don't turn 65 until October. That's 5 months. I have to go off of his work insurance. We've had 3 beautiful years of being able to keep his work insurance, which we've always been told has been the best insurance anybody's ever seen. And he gets to go on Medicare, and we bought good insurance with the Medicare, but it was going to cost me over $1,000 a month just for mediocre insurance for me with a very high deductible. And I wasn't going to be able to keep all of my medications. I don't take that many, but still. So I thought, well, I'm going to have to work off of all my medications and just pray that I don't have to go to the doctor for the next 5 months, right? But then as we got up and started to walk out of the door, I turned around and I said, what about Obamacare? Now, because of the way Congress keeps talking about getting rid of Obamacare, I hadn't even thought about trying. Well, she said, let's look at it and see. And then we had to give an adjusted gross income for 2018. Can you believe it? How do you do that? So we tried. And so then what they do is they take that adjusted gross income and they apply it to some kind of a formula to see how much of a rebate the government is going to give you for Obamacare. I was really surprised. I have Obamacare for 5 months. I still don't know what that means, but at least I'll have something. But I'm praying I don't get sick for 5 months. I will at least have something. Anyway, I won't have any chiropractic treatments, I can guarantee you that. And then in 5 months, I go on to Medicare, and then we'll see where we go from there. But this year, it's going to be just nothing but confusion for me with insurance. And so we'll see how that goes, and I'll keep you updated because some of you might be interested in how all of that works out. I know some of you are getting to the age of Medicare and all of that. I know that with Bob, we did get supplemental insurance to cover nursing home, prescriptions, eyeglasses, and even dental. But I don't know how we're going to pay for it. We're just hoping that God will help us. And we're going to do the same thing with me, but it comes right out of his Social Security check, and it's going to come out of my Social Security check, and I don't make that much. So, anyway, we will keep you informed because I know many of you are getting to the same age, and I don't know how we're going to afford it. So, letting go of the uncomfortable or the uncontrollable is our next subject. It can be difficult to leave a long-term life situation behind, even when your inner wisdom tells you that things aren't right and it's time to let go. At this point, you can choose to let go and endure the sudden pain of leaving behind the familiar to make way for a new chapter in your life, or you can stay, suffer a constant aching pain that gradually eats away at your heart and mind like a cancer until you wake up one day and find yourself buried so deep in the dysfunction of the situation that you barely remember who you are and what you desire. Don't do this to yourself. You know, I heard a song on the radio the other day, and it fits this perfectly. The song was "Fear is a Liar." And every single sentence in that song fit my ex-husband. Now, he's changed tremendously, but it fit the marriage and what he did to me. And it wasn't talking about him, it was talking about the devil. But that song seems to be going along with this. So if you ever hear it, just remember that don't do this to yourself. Things will happen that are unexpected, undesirable, and uncontrollable. But you can always choose to take the next tiniest step. Be brave and take it. Be willing to make mistakes, learn from them, let go of them, and move along. You know, there was someone on the support group last week that said she had a doctor tell her that her fibromyalgia was because she was fat. I'm sorry. Fibromyalgia has nothing to do with the idea that you might be overweight or you're skinny. It doesn't care if you are black, white, green, red, purple, or yellow. Fibromyalgia just is. She said it was a second doctor that had told her that, so she was just going to go in her bedroom, curl up under the sheets, and just forget it. And she wasn't ever going to go back to the doctor. Don't do that to yourself. No, you're much more important than that. You are worth continuing to go to the doctors, and don't let them abuse you like that. They don't have the right to call you fat. That's called abuse. You have patient rights. Don't let them say that to you. You fire them and you keep going back until you find a doctor who cares, because they are out there. There are doctors who do care. There are doctors who do believe in fibromyalgia, and there are doctors who do want to see you get better. Sometimes it takes 8 doctors before you find one, and sometimes it takes 4 to 5 years to find one. But you are worth the effort of going and continuing to go to find one. Don't stop. Truth be told, it's always necessary to accept when some part of your life has reached its inevitable end. Closing the door, completing the chapter, turning the page, etc. It doesn't matter what you title it. What matters is that you find the strength to leave in the past those parts of your life that are over. So here's the thing. We have fibromyalgia. It's just a fact. And we're not going to get our old life back. That too is a fact. And by us sitting here and saying, I wish I had my old life back, that sticks us in the mud and doesn't help us move forward. It's all about embracing the truth. What has happened is uncontrollable. What you do now changes everything. Of course, knowing this and actually having a lifestyle that reinforces this truth are two very different things. Letting go is not easy, and boy, I know that. It's a journey that is traveled one day at a time. If you stick with it, here's what your journey will ultimately teach you. 1. The most powerful changes happen in your life when you decide to take control of what you have power over instead of craving control over everything you don't. That is so true. 2. Most people make themselves unhappy simply by finding it impossible to accept life just as it is, presenting itself right now. 3. The secret to getting ahead is to focus all of your energy not on fixing and fighting the old, but on building and growing something new. And that is so, so true. And the biggest thing is you have to accept that you have a different life now, that you have fibromyalgia, that it's not curable, but it doesn't have to ruin your life. It doesn't have to run your life. You can rule the fibromyalgia. You just have to figure out how. Stepping on to a brand new path is difficult. Yes, it is. But not more difficult than remaining in a situation that no longer fits or no longer exists. I've been trying to say this in different ways, but this is actually a perfect way of saying it. Letting go doesn't mean you don't care about something or someone anymore. It's just realizing that the only thing you really have control over is yourself in this moment. So like I've been saying, you have to get rid of the negative people because they only bring you down and they only cause you stress. And no matter how hard that is, it is only causing you problems. You have to get away from the negative situations. When you are lost in worry, it is easy to mistake your worries for reality instead of recognizing that they are just thoughts. And you know what else? Worrying never solved anything. You can't grow when you worry. You can't change anything when you worry. And you can't solve anything when you worry. You just stress yourself out. The biggest obstacle to growth you'll ever have to overcome is your mind. Once you can overcome that, you can overcome anything. And that is the truth. And that's why I keep saying, go to a psychologist because they can really help you with that if they're a good psychologist. You can always control the way you respond to what happens. And in your response is your power. And there isn't a truer statement than that. Oftentimes, letting go is simply changing the labels you place on a situation. It's looking at the same situation with fresh eyes and an open mind. So now there is an interesting thought, and we might maybe try that. There is absolutely nothing about your present circumstances that prevents you from making progress one tiny step at a time. And of course, if you're struggling with any of this, know that you're not alone. Many of us are right there with you, working hard to feel better and think more clearly and trying to get our lives back on track. Now, I got this from Mark and Angela, or markandangel.com. And they have a course called Getting Back to Happy. I loved this particular article. I thought it was absolutely brilliant, and I thought that it really, really fit with what we do. All right, now the next one is called Habits That Drain Your Energy. Now, this is again from markandangel.com. Bear with me for a moment. You know, when you're driving to an unfamiliar place, blasting the radio while simultaneously watching your GPS spit out directions, then you suddenly get to that one part of the route that's ridiculously confusing. So you lower the volume, even though it really has no direct impact on the way you read the directions. That is your life. That radio noise you need to cut out to concentrate, that's the needless energy-sucking noise in your head. And we have a lot of that, don't we? That confusion in our head. Turning down the radio in the car re-energizes your mind and offers you clarity when you need it the most. You don't really think about how or why this makes such a huge difference. You just know that it does. Now it's time to apply the same principle to all that other noise in your life, starting with the noise in your head. But how? The first step is to eliminate toxic, energy-sucking habits that support this noise. Here are 6 such habits to eliminate. Pretending that everything is okay when it isn't. Do you feel overwhelmed? Sometimes we do, don't we? Do you feel like giving up? Oh, there's a lot of times that we feel that way, don't we? There's honestly no shame in it. You're not a robot, and even if you were, you'd still need to stop for maintenance sometimes. You know, it'd be nice if we could change batteries, wouldn't it? There's no shame in admitting to yourself that you feel exhausted, doubtful, and low. This is a natural part of being human. The simple fact that you are aware of this means that you are able to turn things around. It's okay to fall apart for a little while. You don't always have to pretend to be strong, and there's no need to constantly prove that everything is going well. I hope you're listening to this. You shouldn't be concerned what other people are thinking either. Are you hearing that? Cry if you need to. It's healthy to shed your tears. The sooner you do, the sooner you will be able to smile again. My mother used to say, go into your bedroom and cry. You have tears on your brain. I always thought that was so funny, but I always felt better after I cried. Letting pain from the past devastate the present. I am stronger because of the hard times and wiser because of my mistakes and happier because I have known sadness. The same is true for you. Every difficult conversation you have had includes someone who is teaching you something about yourself. And that's really true. And every trying situation contains an opportunity for deeper self reflection and learning. Every irritant, heartbreak, frustration, disappointment, fearful moment, and sadness is a teacher. Remember, nothing is as bad as it seems. Nothing. Even what we're going through right now, folks, there's a benefit and a blessing hidden in all the folds of every experience and every outcome. So don't dare give up on today because of the way things looked yesterday. Don't even think about it. Every day is a new day to try again. Now, I know many of you are going to say, oh, really, Deb? But I do thank God for the RSD CRPS and for the fibromyalgia. Because if I hadn't had that pain, if I didn't have the fogginess and I didn't have all of the depression and the ups and downs and the concerns and all of that, then I wouldn't have the understanding and the empathy that I have now. And when I see somebody on the street or in a store who is in a wheelchair or in one of those carts and they're having a really hard time, I'm not embarrassed to go up to them and say, "Can I help you?" Or "You're having a really bad day today. What can I do to help ease your pain?" Or "What can I do to help you? Can I reach something for you?" I thank God because I now know what people are going through and I can help them. And I have the Facebook page and I have this radio show and I've written a book that I think will help people. And I wouldn't have had any of that. I wouldn't be able to help people if I hadn't gone through all of this. So yes, it has been a blessing in many ways. Resisting change and growth, you must consistently check with yourself and ask, am I committed to feeling good or am I committed to growing? Because growth does not always feel good, and feeling good does not always provide growth. Neither is wrong as long as there is balance. The important thing is to remember that being uncomfortable is important too, and this discomfort often arrives right on time. Don't avoid it, embrace it. Channel your energy into progress. All growth begins at the end of your comfort zone. That just doesn't sound right, does it? When you're feeling uncomfortable, know that the change taking place in your life is a beginning, not an ending. Worrying and worrying and worrying, never taking action. Worry is the biggest enemy of the present moment. It does nothing but steal your joy and keep you very busy doing absolutely nothing at all. It's like using your imagination to create things you don't want. Break this negative habit. It is far better to be exhausted from effort than to be tired of doing nothing but worrying. Don't waste your effort avoiding effort. Go ahead and get it done. Tomorrow ask yourself, was it really important to have to worry and then have the courage to build your day around your answer? Sacrificing all of yourself for everyone else, don't sacrifice yourself too much, because if you do, there will be very little left you can give to anybody else, even those you dearly love. Well, we're going to have to finish that next week, but we have come to the end of the show. I want to thank you very much for tuning in today. And I apologize again for Dr. Lipton not being here, but she is sick, so please pray for her that she can get better quickly. You have been listening to Lives Changed. If you have any questions, please send them to liveschangedradio@gmail.com. You can also call me personally at 815-214-9443. Again, that number is 815-214-9443. Thank you again for coming today, and I hope you have a really, really good week. Stay positive, stay strong, and we will see you next Monday night. You have a good week. Thank you for coming.
You've been listening to Lives Changed with host Deborah Lundquist. Find out each week how Deb can educate, guide, and help you get through the daily challenges of living with fibromyalgia on Deb Lundquist's Lives Changed.